I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. These weren't just words from a cocky young boxer. They were a prophecy. Today, we're going to be diving deep into the life of Muhammad Ali. A man who didn't just float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, but who transformed boxing, challenged a nation, and became the most recognizable athlete in human history. Muhammad Ali wasn't just the greatest boxer of all time. He was a cultural earthquake who shook the world far beyond the ring. Born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. in Louisville, Kentucky in 1942, he would go on to win 3 heavyweight championships, light the Olympic torch, and become a global icon whose influence transcended sports entirely. But his path to greatness was anything but conventional. Ali's boxing journey began at age 12, not out of ambition, but out of anger. When his bicycle was stolen, young Cassius told police officer Joe Martin that he wanted to beat up the thief. Martin, who also trained boxers, suggested that he learn how to fight first. That stolen bike became the catalyst for the greatest boxing career in history. By 18, Ali had already shown flashes of his unique style, lightning-fast footwork, incredible hand speed, and an unorthodox technique that broke every boxing rule. At the 1960 Rome Olympics, he dominated the light heavyweight division, winning gold for the United States. But even then, the contradictions of American society were apparent. Despite representing his country on the world stage, Ali returned to a segregated Louisville where he couldn't eat in certain restaurants. That Olympic gold medal? Legend says that he threw it into the Ohio River after being refused service at a whites-only restaurant. Whether true or not, it symbolized the complex relationship that Ali would have with his homeland. Ali turned professional immediately after the Olympics, and his rise was meteoric. He possessed something that boxing had never seen before, a heavyweight who moved like a middleweight, who could dance away from punches while landing lightning-fast combinations. His reach was extraordinary, his reflexes superhuman. But it wasn't just his boxing that set him apart. Ali understood that personality sells fights. He predicted rounds, composed poems about his opponents, and spoke with a charisma that made him impossible to ignore. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, his hands can't hit what his eyes can't see wasn't just marketing, it was poetry. When Ali faced the intimidating Sonny Liston for the heavyweight title in 1964, he was considered a 7-1 underdog. Liston was a feared knockout artist with connections to organized crime. But Ali's psychological warfare was already in full effect. He called Liston the big ugly bear and predicted victory. When Liston went down in the first round of their rematch from what Ali called his phantom punch, controversy swirled. But one thing was clear. At just 22 years old, Cassius Clay was the heavyweight champion of the world. But the young champion was about to shock the world in a different way. Shortly after winning the title, he announced his conversion to Islam and his new name, Muhammad Ali. This wasn't just a religious conversion, it was a complete identity transformation that terrified mainstream America. The 1960s were a time of massive social upheaval, and Ali found himself at the center of it all. His association with Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam made him a controversial figure. White America had been comfortable with a cocky but ultimately harmless heavyweight champion. Muhammad Ali, proud, black, and uncompromising, was something entirely different. Cassius Clay is a slave name, he declared. I didn't choose it, and I don't want it. I am Muhammad Ali, a free name, and I insist people use it when speaking to me. This wasn't just about boxing anymore. Ali had become a symbol of black pride and resistance. Then came the defining moment of Ali's life, and perhaps of the 1960s itself. In 1967, at the height of the Vietnam War, Ali was called up for military service. His response changed everything. I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong. No Viet Cong never called me nigger. This wasn't just a political statement, it was career suicide. Ali refused induction into the U.S. Army on religious grounds, claiming status as a conscientious objector. The reaction was swift and brutal. He was stripped of his heavyweight title, banned from boxing, and faced up to 5 years in prison. Death threats poured in. Former fans burned his posters. For 3.5 years, the prime years of any athlete's career, Muhammad Ali couldn't fight professionally. He was 25 years old, undefeated, and at his physical peak. The boxing establishment had effectively exiled the greatest heavyweight in the world. But Ali never wavered. "I'm giving up my title, my wealth, maybe my future. Many great men have been tested for their religious beliefs. If I pass this test, I'll come out stronger than ever." He spent those years speaking at colleges, becoming an icon of the anti-war movement, and watching his legend grow even while unable to compete. In 1970, with public opinion slowly shifting against the Vietnam War, Ali was finally allowed to return to boxing. But he wasn't the same fighter who had been banned 3 years earlier. Ring rust was evident, and the sport had moved on without him. Joe Frazier now held the heavyweight title, and he had a legitimate claim to it. The first Ali-Frazier fight in 1971 was billed as the fight of the century, and it lived up to the hype. 2 undefeated heavyweights, both with legitimate claims to greatness, battling for supremacy. Frazier's relentless pressure and devastating left hook proved too much for the rusty Ali, who suffered his first professional defeat when Frazier dropped him with a thunderous left hook in the 15th round. But champions aren't defined by how they win. They're defined by how they respond to defeat. What followed was perhaps the greatest trilogy in sports history. Ali's battles with Joe Frazier weren't just fights, they were wars that defined an era. Their second fight in 1974 saw Ali emerge victorious, setting up the legendary Thrilla in Manila in 1975. Manila was boxing at its most brutal and beautiful. Both men pushed beyond human limits in the sweltering Philippine heat. After 14 rounds of unimaginable violence, Frazier's eyes were swollen shut. Ali, near collapse, wanted to quit after the 14th round, but when Frazier couldn't answer the bell for the 15th, Ali had won. "It was the closest thing to death I've ever experienced," he said later. Between the Frazier trilogy, Ali had reclaimed his title by defeating the seemingly invincible George Foreman in Zaire in 1974. The so-called Rumble in the Jungle showcased Ali's ring intelligence at its peak. Against the younger, stronger Foreman, Ali employed the now famous rope-a-dope strategy, letting Foreman punch himself out before unleashing a devastating combination in the 8th round. Ali continued fighting longer than he should have, his skills diminishing with each bout. The man who had once danced around opponents now stood and traded punches, absorbing tremendous punishment. His final fights against Larry Holmes and Trevor Berbick were painful to watch, a faded legend clinging to past glory. But even in decline, Ali's impact grew. His 1996 lighting of the Olympic torch in Atlanta, his hands shaking from Parkinson's disease, was one of the most powerful moments in sports history. The same hands that had created boxing poetry now trembled, but the man's spirit remained unbroken. Muhammad Ali died in 2016, but his legacy lives forever. He was more than a boxer. He was a poet, an activist, a symbol of courage and conviction. He proved that athletes could be more than entertainers, that they could stand for something greater than themselves. Ali's famous declaration, "I am the greatest," wasn't boastfulness, it was prophecy. Greatest boxer? Absolutely. Greatest athlete? Quite possibly. Greatest symbol of standing up for what you believe in, regardless of the cost? Without question. Muhammad Ali didn't just float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. He soared like an eagle and roared like a lion. He was, is, and always will be the greatest. What do you think made Muhammad Ali truly great? Was it his boxing skills, his social impact, or his unwavering principles? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for more legendary sports stories.